Would you look at that? Hello, welcome to Apocalypse Radio. I did not record that. My hubris. Welcome to my by um, by recording mistake of not pressing record. Indiepocalypse. I did a fun bit about how I was a mayor. You didn't really miss it much. We're here with our first guest, who you may know from issue 18 of Indiepocalypse, the prior newest issue. With him, it's Cecil Choi. Cecil, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I went to go check the recording time because I need to. I was about to introduce you, and then I was like, need to mark when I start. And I was like, oh wait, that recording time is 000000000. Whoops, whoops. Listen, but this is why you show up live, so you get the fun bits at the top. But anyhow, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey.
Great. Great. So to start off, I have to ask you like a very important question, the number one
hmm
Indiepocalypse radio question, which is, hey, how did you hear about Indiepocalypse?
Oh, my friend Ardent, who was in issue like one or two issues before me, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, yeah, told me about it. Um, and I thought it looked really cool. And I had a game I'd made like 2 years ago that I haven't milked everything out of yet, so I thought I'd submit it.
No, that is actually idea. Indiepocalypse is all about milking everything out of all of our games, the best of that we can, because I don't believe in the idea that you should like put out a game and then like whoops it's not super successful, I guess give up and start a new game. It all seems kind of silly, so like why not get the most out of your game? So
Yeah.
would you say your game, because it's 2 years old, is now a bad game?
Um, I don't think so. I think I mean, how long ago was it actually? I think I finished it like I have no idea actually.
Yeah.
But um I think I mean, I've definitely learned a lot about game making since then also.
Yeah.
But it was I think I kind of did everything I could with the knowledge that I had at that point. And yeah, I think I'm still pretty proud of it. I feel like I like set out to do something and then I accomplished it.
Yeah, I think this happens in all art, like increasingly as we approach our present day, but perhaps in
hmm
games it's always felt the strongest of like burning your past, and you always have to make new things, and the newer thing is
hmm
always the better thing. I think that comes from like the technical aspect of game development,
Yeah, definitely.
where kids like, oh, I technically improved it, my craft or whatever. I made
Yeah.
Mario jump better in this game, so it's a better game because he is better at jumping.
Yeah,
But
which is why I really like Bitsy because I feel
yes,
like it kind of distills everything down. So even in like 10 years when we have like, I don't know, like 3D
Bitsy
models
HD.
of video game characters in your actual apartment, um, I feel like, it won't be anything less than it was now because it's already, not anything super complicated.
Yes, that's actually why I love Bitsy like intensely, and I think
Yeah.
it's like where the most exciting stuff happening in games is happening right now,
hmm
because like the technical element, like there being such like a low technical barrier, allows people to just make art very easily.
Yeah.
But it's like Indie Apocalypse, I think, has had like at least one Bitsy game in most of its issues,
hmm
and they're like nothing like one another outside of like
Yeah.
having small four-way movement and tapping on things to progress dialogue.
Yeah.
there's as a sneak peek, unless they I never hear back from them again or they change their mind. There's a really weird and interesting Bitsy game coming up soon in
Oh,
next month. I'm very excited about it.
I'll look out for it.
But yeah, I am You've got number one Bitsy supporter here in I. I think what's the Catamites who said indie game development is just trading the same Bitsy dollar back and forth, and I'm like, yeah, that's right. Well, what if and the Indiepocalypse dream is that we're trading 20 Bitsy dollars back and forth now,
Right.
in hopes of like I'm just cold injecting money into the Bitsy economy. But yeah, no, even like that candles like the Bitsy boutique, I am a huge fan of. Like that's
Yeah.
truly an amazing work,
Mhm.
but also does not work in COVID. So we cannot mail the Bitsy boutique amongst everyone else. But I think there's a lot of hope for like Bitsy as a platform going forward, and it gets like a little recognition here and there. But
Mhm.
I think once someone reimagines a Bitsy game classic in Unreal Engine, that'll really like get the game press's hearts all aflutter.
Yeah.
They really need to see what. Now, I get in a mood about those mostly because I think they're stupid looking. And I feel bad. Like, listen, I like fan art as much as the next person, but like, seems silly for every press site. And maybe I don't read. I'm less aware of comics press sites, but I feel like not every
Mhm.
comics press site loses their mind every time someone draws a good picture of Spider-Man. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do.
I wouldn't know either.
So it always strikes me as very strange when there's like we made Mario. Like, are you familiar with the voice actor and Vine extraordinaire Pro ZD?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so there's a video in old of his where they see license plates that are out of state,
Uh-huh.
and they're like, "Oh my God, that's not the state we're in." And there's one line
Right, I remember.
that's like, and then I think the last line is something effective like, "That is not the state that we're currently in." And whenever I see one of those, I'm like, "That is not." I think to myself, "That is not, in fact, what Mario 64 looked like." That is like, well, no shit. You added more triangles to his hat, and what? Anyway. See, so what's your opinion on Mario, the man?
Um, I think he's fine. I could kind of grew up not playing a whole lot of Mario, I feel like, compared to everyone else, because I thought it was too hard.
Yeah,
So it wasn't very fun for me. But I thought it was too hard and too scary. So I didn't play a whole lot of Mario. And I suspect I would feel the same way about it now.
yes. Now he has more dimensions to which he can run around in. I have a friend who often points out that there's that weird little mushroom guy at the front. How do you get past that weird little mushroom guy at the front? I don't like him. He's got scary teeth. As a child, I think was scared of uh, the big bug in Mario Paint. If you're
Oh
familiar with
yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did not like that large bug. It was too big, too scary. Didn't care for it. Now I
I
can
did
put.
really like the mini games in Mario 64. I
Uh,
remember I, it was like the era where I didn't have a DS yet, so I
oh
would
yes,
like
yes, right. I forgot they made the DS one where you could play as like Yoshi and stuff.
Oh yeah, I don't remember. No, I remember I was in Korea and I would like borrow my cousin's DS. I think it was the DS version. I would borrow
Yeah,
her DS for like a week and I would play as many mini games on it as I could during that time and I think I really enjoyed it. I really didn't like the main game though because it was too scary.
that's if you. Why would you? Why would someone want to climb all the way up that big hill? Just have that bomb guy throw you right off of it. It seems a pointless task, really. No, I mean that really. I've been asking a lot about Mario lately because I think Mario is like, I don't know, he's Mr. Video Games or something.
Mhm.
But also I think it defines like how we think of games canon and like what it means to canonize games.
Yeah.
And like for like especially as like we approach having more focus on art games, I guess, or like
Mhm.
non-challenging games,
Yeah.
or I guess non like physically challenging games, games that are more emotionally challenging.
Yeah, for sure. I love games where you can't die, or at least where you don't have a choice whether you die or not.
Yes, yeah, I've become a big fan of using even in older games using save states rather aggressively
Mhm.
to just kind of like play the game all the way through and like experience things like, well, what does this game have to offer as a game? Do I really gain anything out of my life if to like beat it the correct way, you know?
Mhm.
I think not really.
Yeah.
I think, you know, the appeal of FromSoft games isn't that they're hard to play, it's that they're full of weird laughing goth weirdos, you know?
Yeah.
I like looking at the gross spider lady. I don't care that it's like I had to roll around or something, and I'm a true
Right.
gamer. Although, listen, all you out there, trust me when I say that I am a true gamer, and I beat all the Souls games.
Right, right.
I'm super good at them, and I like to put on a. I saw Havel and I was like, man, life goals there, and I put a bunch of fat armor on and I chunky rolled around. I think those games are actually very interesting, and I think that like games are is hard discourse kind of like really sapped what is interesting out of FromSoft.
Mhm.
But anyway, this is for enough tangents of um, whatever video games. And she's, do you like video games?
Uh,
The tough
hard
question.
question. Yeah, that question. Um, I think, uh, cause when I went into college, I was going to major in film before I
Yeah,
switched over to game design. And I think it was because I didn't think I liked games that much.
yeah,
Um, and I think it was largely because I wasn't really playing the kind of games that really interested me. Because once I saw games, I guess like Gone Home was one that was really impactful to me.
yeah,
Um, just like stuff like that, a lot of walking sims that really inspired me and made me feel like I could like use games as a way to express myself instead of as like a commercial product.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So I guess depends on what kind of games.
Yeah, that no, that is. I think an increasingly number of people are growing up with that mentality, or they're just like approaching games in general with that mentality of, you know, there's the old chestnut of like, what is the Citizen Kane of video games? But I think that's silly
Mm,
because what does that mean? And also
yeah.
like, what and I like to think about that in terms of like other films, and it's really like there are very few film equivalents for games. You know,
Hmm.
what is what is the Haxon of video games? What is the what's the Smithereens of video games? None of us know because there are like none of them. You know,
Yeah.
there's like film has been around for so long that it kind of lets you, it has more of a time. I say that, but then like they've been making art and film for like forever,
Hmm.
and they've been making art and games for forever. But like the software toy side of games really has been at the forefront for so long, and actually still,
Yeah.
I mean, still is at the forefront.
Hmm.
I've been looking to kind of describe. I fumble through a lot of ways to describe kind of like the games you yourself make and enjoy, and versus like video games as they're publicly known. And
Right.
because I think like indie game doesn't do that well because I think a lot of indie games fall into like the mainstream category in terms of design
Hmm.
aspect. There's like
Yeah.
I think Melisantani's description of a live game versus dead game is very good. If you've never read his piece on that, I think I
I
would
don't think I
recommend.
have.
It's very the idea being that like alive games are games that are made by feel like they are made by people. Dead
Mm.
games are obviously made by a large company or like a committee, and like you don't feel the human soul inside of it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, obviously I do enjoy playing games that are hard
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yes.
Um, but I think uh what discouraged me from like seeing myself as someone who would like want to make games as a career or like even as a hobby was I felt like there was just like one type of game. Um, but once I saw like my friends in college who were making games like just to kind of like put a part of themselves out there and like were really kind of putting their soul into it,
Yeah.
I got really inspired.
Yeah, because there is so much space for that, but like it as time goes on, the technical barrier will get lower and lower, which is like the main hurdle,
Hmm.
I think. So,
Yeah.
because you have to learn to like program or even like use a drag and drop logic structure or something,
Hmm.
and that can be a lot. And then also you have to make all the art and everything too, and the sound and
Yeah.
Bitsy, truly the perfect engine, kind of covers all of that for you. But then like people are also doing like really wild stuff within Bitsy of like I've like 3D versions, and
Yeah. Have you played what's it called? The Interview?
I have not no.
It's like what I think of when I think 3D Bitsy. Um, it's really weird. It's like entirely um 3D, I guess. It's really just a Bitsy, but it's 3D, like
Yeah,
first person. Um, yeah, it's very weird to play, but I liked it a lot.
I was thinking of oh great job. I searched the interview as if there's not a million games called the interview on itch. Do you remember who made it?
No, but it's like it was definitely a pretty popular one.
Okay, so I probably could just search it online and add Bitsy to it. Ah, yes, the movie starring Seth Rogen. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's the one.
I was thinking of. I was gonna say the name, but I realized I don't know how to, or like I've never looked at the name and like thought about like what it was.
Hmm.
Um, it was in Indiepocalypse by. Uh oh. Which order does the E in the end go? Big. So I have to look this up now because it's gonna bug me. I double screwed up I double screwed up the names as it were. Um, mostly, but anyway, yes, yeah. There's a lot of interesting stuff to it. Let me check. I keep forgetting to ask question. Let's go all the way back for a while. Having you mentioned, you were in Korea for a time. Um, what is a food growing up that you like did not realize was like intensely regional until you're like, oh, I'm not there anymore?
Oh, huh. Well, so I grew up, well, mostly in the US, but I would go to
Okay.
Korea during the summer, but I still grew up eating, a lot of Korean food.
Yeah.
But, I mean, things like that are like just Korean food, I expect,
Yeah.
that people won't be familiar with, but it's like little things like eating broccoli with mayonnaise. I didn't realize that that's intensely disgusting for a lot of people, because it was
I
so normal for me growing up.
I never heard. I did not know. I had no idea where that sentence was going to end when you started with broccoli, and then when you got to the end, the twist ending. I never saw it coming a mile away. Like just like steamed or cooked broccoli, or just like raw broccoli.
Yeah, like steamed. You dip
Okay.
it in mayo. It's like yummy.
I mean, I don't doubt it is. Mayo is just like a bread wetter, a nice
Yeah.
fattening thing. It's kind of like a good all-purpose condiment.
Yeah.
No, because I've thought of like even I guess because the U.S. is gigantic, but even within the
Hmm.
U.S. there's like things that are just like regional, and you think like, oh, I can get this at every supermarket, and then apparently you can never get it anywhere because you drove
Yeah.
a couple hours away. That's definitely stronger across different countries, but the U.S. being is like international, the grand dream of it being the weird melting pot country,
Hmm.
has a lot of like Korea towns or just like Korean grocers if
Yeah,
you were in like
I'm
larger
in.
cities.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm in Santa Cruz, and we have to drive out like 45 minutes to get to the closest Korean market, which
Yeah,
sucks a lot.
you're telling someone. Yeah, I luckily have like a maybe is it? I think I have like a Korean place, like at least a restaurant, like very close to my house. But like
Mhm.
if I want to get Indian food, which I often want to get Indian food, I have to drive like 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
We got it all. You just have to have a car to get it.
Yeah, I can't drive, so
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know how I would function in my life if I did not have a car.
yeah, my partner chauffeurs me everywhere.
Well, I guess that also works too. But yeah, this is, folks, the U.S. needs better public transit infrastructure. I know it's a
Oh
very large
yeah.
country, and for plenty of people, the difference between a 3-hour drive can be like a 30-minute walk
Hmm.
just to like get to work. And I get it. I get it. It's too big, too much stuff. But even then, I wanted to take a train to Toronto, and it would have taken me like over a day
Right.
when like it takes me like an hour to fly there.
Hmm.
But anyway, we're approaching the end of our moment here, our time here, our 20 minutes.
Uh-huh.
So I was glad to have you here. Glad to chat. We will. Before we go, I got to ask you one
Hmm.
final question that I had definitely planned out and that I'm not figuring out as I go along.
Okay.
Which is to say, if you were to dip anything in mayo that you've yet to dip in mayo, what do you think would be the most delicious thing to dip in mayo?
Oh, geez. Huh. Never considered this before. What have I dipped in mayo? I love canned corn. I think fries are really good too. There's also like mayo, and then there's like Kewpie, which is a whole nother experience. Um,
That's the one in like the soft package, right?
yeah,
Okay, well,
maybe I would dip like a new vegetable, maybe one that I don't like a cucumber, and maybe it would be a transformative experience.
okay. We'll get back to how someone can dislike a cucumber later. But are cucumbers regional? Is that why I like them so much? Anyway, uh, we'll be back in like a minute and 12. Cecil, thanks again for being here. We'll be back with our next guest after this short break. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Punk Song by Candy Hearts. We are here with the second guest of the show to round out this duo we have here. If you thought there was a trio beforehand, sometimes scheduling comes up, folks, and they will hopefully be here at a different time. But anyway, you may know this next guest from issue 17 of Indiepocalypse with Lil Flutie 3D, Director's Pandemic Edition. It's Rondar. Rondar, how you doing?
Hello, hello.
Perfect, perfect. Now I gotta ask you, gotta come in hot with the important Indiepocalypse question. Hey, how'd you hear about Indiepocalypse?
Okay, so I think that because I often browse itch.io
Yeah.
in search of like cool small indie games, and I think that this name has come up quite often, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But also, but that like definite. Uh, when I decided that I wanted to commission my game to the Indiepocalypse was like so I was having this game in development for like a year or so, and we decided that like it's time to with my friends that I was like making this game. We decided that it's time to wrap things up, and
Yeah.
I started looking online for like different jumps and so on. And I found out the Indiepocalypse. I read the description of the rules there, which was like,
There are none.
yeah, like there was one that, yeah, this is
Yeah.
why I have commissioned my game because there was no like any mention that I had to make it in a week or something. And also, you said that you were looking for Polish is not the thing that you're looking for,
Yeah.
but rather originality. So I thought, yeah, like let's
Yeah.
try. Like Fluty is supposed to be all about originality, not about Polish at all. So
No, no, no. Indiepocalypse is about curating and collecting all that weird shit, and Lil Flutie fits into that category beautifully. It's a nice, it's a real treat when a game when like a real winner comes across my submission thing, because a lot of people do submit like very like I made a video game and
I'm glad to hear that.
and yeah, no, people have, I've been asked before sometimes by someone's like, people have been like, oh, I'm not sure, like, oh, I can't believe you included me, and like my official stance is, listen, if I didn't want the games to be in there, I would start knocking down people's doors and like personally requesting games before I ever included a game that I did not like in Indiepocalypse. It's a real people. I don't know. I understand. Like, as someone who runs this thing and also has that degree of imposter syndrome, I understand it, that I can house 10 people full of it. I'm the imposter in chief, as it were. But no, it was glad that you found it. Glad that, yeah, because it's not even like technically a jam. It's just like a very easy way for people to submit their games. If you just like click a little drop down menu and say yes, put my game here. And as someone who has like zero, I I have more now, but especially when it started, I have someone with like zero public facing
Mm-hmm.
personality, or like nobody knows who I am. I'm just some generously lower middle class, perhaps, person without like
Mm-hmm.
marketing budgets or community managers or PR teams or
Yeah.
a team in general.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I like I'm very impressed by your work, and like the Indiepocalypse zine is very awesome. Like I don't think that I've seen something like that on each apart from like I don't know, maybe Haunted PS1 disc or something, but that's just once a year. So
Yeah,
but
yeah. No,
yeah,
they.
so great. Like I'm very impressed by that, and I really think that you are doing very important work, especially during the pandemic,
Thank
bringing
you.
people together and so on. Also, I wanted to ask: was
Yes.
the Indiepocalypse, is it a coincidence that the name?
No, no. It's me being a real asshole.
Okay,
It's the idea. So
it's, so it's
I
related to the real pandemic.
Oh no. Okay, so
Oh, okay. I thought okay.
no, that's an unfortunate coincidence.
Okay.
No, the real thing is so like a couple of years, like 5 or so years ago, Indiepocalypse was like a really popular buzzword. There was like if you search for
Mhm.
Indiepocalypse, my SEO is getting better, but generally you'll hit a bunch of articles like Gama Sutra and stuff about people being like, the Indiepocalypse is here because my game that rips off Super Meat Boy was not as popular as Super Meat Boy. Why is my boring run of the mill platformer not ultra popular? It must be because that there are
Yeah.
too many indie games, which is bullshit and
Yeah.
obviously. So I was like, I hate naming things in general.
Mhm.
90% of the time, if I'm naming characters in a game I'm making, I will just start naming them after the songs that I'm listening to at the time.
Oh, that's cool
So
idea.
you can sort of tell, like, oh, what band was Andrew listening to? Oh, half of these characters are named after the members of Sleater Kinney. So I think I know what Andrew was listening to at the time. But yeah, so Indiepocalypse was like a placeholder. It's like, Then I was like, I kind of like it as a kind of tongue in cheek name for something that is like meant to describe the fact that there are too many indie games. And I'm like, well, that the remove the word indie games and say art. You're saying there's too much art. That doesn't make sense, but also is like,
Too much books.
yeah, right, exactly. Could you imagine? I'm releasing a book. There are too many books to release books. We're in the book apocalypse right now because there are too many books.
Yeah, and especially when it comes that games, like video games, are very young
Yeah,
medium, right? So
yeah. I can't believe fucking Miguel de Cervantes wrote Don Quixote back then. Because of him, there's too many books, too many novels. You think after he was when he was yeah, can you imagine him? I'm writing a sequel novel being like, the novel apocalypse is why my sequel to Don Quixote didn't take off. The printing press really hurt us handwritten writer. It's all very stupid
yeah,
and like made up, and it basically means that people, and also like there's a lot of like advantages that people aren't aware of or like aren't really clearly obvious that they are saying like, well, I didn't succeed. Well, that was because like Microsoft didn't put you front and center on their platform. Of course, you didn't succeed.
Hmm.
It's not just because there are too many. I mean, indie games themselves are like becoming another like corporatized market.
yeah, I hate that.
It's a preview of a Twitter thread I'll probably write on Monday, but like it feels like every new thing in games is like, check out my corporate vibes any percent run of my indie game collective or whatever.
Yeah,
And it's like, how can we make them look as clean and as boring as possible?
sure.
So that's
I really
yeah.
sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to yeah, I totally agree. Like I really hate forgettable experiences, like forgettable games, forgettable films, whatever.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, like stuff that's like it's like you can say that it's like perfect, but that's why it's so boring.
Yes. Right.
Like that's why I hate all the triple. Like, when I was younger, I used to like games that were the longer the game was, the better for me because I didn't have that much money and I had a lot of time.
Yeah.
Right. Uh, so I like I didn't get bothered by like collectibles in Assassin's Creed
Yes.
or boring like like filler missions in open world games. But right now it pisses me off because I don't have that much time to play the games, and sometimes I don't know, like I hear a lot of good words about like a AAA game, I'm always very skeptical, but it's
Yeah.
always like so. Turn it on, then I can see. Whoa, this is like everything that's in this game. I have already seen it like in Far Cry 3, and it's bunch of filler open world with worlds with bunch of filler missions. Like I already know what this game is about. There's no need
Yeah.
for me to spend another like 60 hours in it. So I really appreciate smaller games. The smaller, the better, even for me. That's why I browse each that IO so
Yeah.
often.
Yeah. Like I back in forever ago, I collected all those feathers in Assassin's Creed 2. Do I need to collect all? Do I then need to collect all the leather in Far Cry and then collect all the orc skulls in Mordor? And
Yeah.
but like I don't know, it kind of comes as like a weird like they're like toys and everybody wants you to play their toy.
Yeah, exactly. And there are just toys. Like you will play with them, you will have fun, but you'll
Yeah.
forget about them tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
and that's it.
You can't make a unique experience when like 300 people are making it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But because they're like, I wonder if there's something to like to be done in like really like deep diving like each individual job in games versus film, and like how can film sometimes come across like a more personal experience despite there being like still a bunch of people involved. And I
Hmm.
wonder if there's something to that where it's like, well, no, you can still involve 10 to 20 people in a film, but like maybe because one person wrote it, and maybe because more people bring like what are clearly like creative elements to it. That's what makes it feel more personal, perhaps.
Maybe.
Like it's easier to see what like an actor and a director and a writer and a like an editor and they all bring when it's, but it's harder to see what like, you know, the person making the rocks in Last of Us, like what they bring.
Yeah.
And who knows? It's art is large and complicated, and I don't even have time all day to think about that. I got to spend the time playing games, you know, and perhaps even making some one day.
Have you ever made the game or?
I did. I have, and like part of me doing that is why I created Indiepocalypse.
Oh,
The the short version of the origin story being that I didn't see a marketable space for the short games I wanted to make, so I decided to try making it. The space that is.
awesome.
So
Cool.
that's what Indiepocalypse is. Basically, it was made in the dream world that eventually people would pay $15 for like a 30-minute to an hour game, which is what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely pay for that.
Yeah, like
I like when the developers and like the creators like respect my time. So
yeah,
if I can get everything in like 10 minutes, then it's totally okay for me.
yeah. I've will easily go down on record saying that I think you can get a more fulfilling story in like a 2.5 minute song than you would in like a 7 season long prestige television show.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
that's true.
length in art is irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Well, this the length thing, the art is just pure. It's purely a part of the of making money. Like
yeah,
it's not connected to the art itself. It's just a marketing like thing.
right. Because then like where would paintings be?
Yeah.
takes
Yeah,
like
exactly.
takes like 10 seconds to do those things.
Yeah.
Like I mean like we look at them, it takes like an imperceivable short amount of time. Like in the time it takes like the image to go from our eyes to our brains, we've
Yeah.
seen the entire painting.
You can make a bigger painting though.
Oh yeah, right. So what if I then jokes on the painter? I'll just look at it from further away.
Oh, then you won't see the detail.
Oh right. I've got to really pour over it. Yeah, yeah. But also I guess paintings are in a weird space because they're like trying to like put cameras in front of them to see like how much people look at them or something. In some museums, to be like trying to gauge metrics of where best to put them.
Yeah, that's true.
So wait am I? But it's all very weird. Art is in a very strange spot where it's so intensely commodified right now that like where do you fit the weird stuff? Rondar, do you have aspirations of Lil Flutie appearing on the E3 main stage one day? You have to explain your piss button to a church
The most
crowd.
important, yeah, the most important button
Yes.
that does like one or two things in the game. Well, like I'd like to expand on the universe, the Leaf Fluty universe,
Yes.
like make the sequel or prequel or whatever. Because I really like the characters and the world that they live in.
Yeah.
They were like my all the characters like I have made them in Blender. Like these are my first animated characters that I have ever did, and I'm quite proud of them. So yeah, I definitely have plans to expand on this universe, but like it's not a goal for me at all.
Yeah.
For them for this franchise to like appear on the stage or anywhere. I just like I just like to make a cool game.
Yeah, and I like that's what I really want people to be able to do more often is like to
Yeah.
just make a cool game, but then like there to be a space for that game to fit into afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I don't like to like think about what the people what to do in order for my game to be enjoyed by as much people possible. Like that's I don't like really like this approach. I rather I'd rather have my game be enjoyed by less but more passionate like people maybe
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
No. I often say I think that art that appeals to everyone doesn't appeal to any one person in particular.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like people connect intensely with like very specific things because it comes from a very specific place, and they see themselves in it, or they see parts of themselves, or they see extremely personal experiences in that. Like it's hard to replicate in something that's
Yes.
designed for a mass audience.
Yeah, I have I you know like I've seen a few comments in the comment section on the Leaf Fruity page, and there were like one or two. I responded nearly to all of them, apart from like
What a brave soul
like
you are.
there wasn't that much of them. Like it
Okay.
was like 20 or something, maybe more a bit.
Yeah.
But it's like one person said that this game has like it gave him like a feeling of weird nostalgia of something that like was something strangely familiar, but also he hasn't seen anything like that before. He hadn't played Fluty before, so it was impossible. And I said like this is the most beautiful comment that I have like read about Fluty. Like that is exactly what I am, what I treasure art for.
Yeah.
Like if there will be one person that the stuff that I create will like invoke some kind of personal feeling, intimate feeling. Like that's perfect. That's exactly what I think that art should be for.
Yeah, that is what I am like increasingly landing on, like how I think of when I define. I mean, broadly defining art, I would say art is whatever you want it to be, and I think art is like I think the definition of art itself is a very personal one.
Yeah.
And I think trying to sort of like police what art is or is not is a whole mess that you shouldn't even bother with. I think there's no like definition of it, but I think
Yeah, that's I often argue about it with my girlfriend because she has like a major in art and
yeah,
she has a different perception of it.
right,
But
right.
yeah, but I agree with what you are saying.
No, I'm a real loose kind of art is wherever you want to be kind of guy.
Yeah, but I think that's how art should be.
Yeah, but I think two people can look at the same thing and be like, "That's art," and the other person's like, "No, no,
Sure,
that's not art," and
sure,
both people can be right.
of course. Yeah,
Listen, everybody can be right about different things. I
that's
guess
true.
is what I'm saying. People are really big and complicated. And if people remember nothing else, is that every person in the entire world has 24 hours in their day as well. And I think that's easy to forget, you know,
Sure. Yes.
that we're all big, complicated people full of big, complicated lives. And whatever. I'm getting increasingly, what's the word? Earnest and sentimental on this show and on shows in general. When perhaps I should be the real kind of fucking around jokester I meant to be. But anyhow, Rondar, before I let you go for the short period of time before we come back to the group segment right after this, I gotta ask you. First, I gotta say, great to have you here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Glad we could work out the time scheduling. I'm glad that
Yeah.
I switched this 2 p.m. schedule so that we could have. I didn't have to have special like, you know, GMT shows and US shows. We could mix everyone together, all across the world.
That's really helpful.
Yeah. So also, it's a lot harder to get people who are like east of the GMT because there are like inherently fewer of them because you know America is a lot of people in it, and I'm an American, so that tends to be the people I reach first. But I think I'm getting quite international as I want to be international. I think, and I'm hoping that I my clumsiness of English primary language, people are picking up the slack and covering the Brazilian Portuguese on my part, where I cannot. Because there's a lot of games all over the world. We have look at the map, folks. We got a map on my personal website of everyone around the world to show, hey, look, Indiepocalypse folks are everywhere. Anyway, what I was saying is, what do you put on mayo in your neck of the woods, or what do you put mayo on, rather?
Well, I put mayo on ham. That's on a sandwich.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you. We will be back in about 2 minutes. And hello, and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Honest Bob and the Factory to Dealer Incentives with Soy Bomb. I hope I emphasize that properly so that you understand that I am bomb is what I'm trying to say. I bomb. Soy bomb. I don't know if that reads properly. Anyway, does that read properly? Is me saying soy is in the Spanish personal to be, that is? Anyhow, we're back with everyone, hopefully, fingers crossed, on Cecil. Though, I don't know if that is a goodbye or if that is a oops, I lost internet connection or Discord went down. But anyway, Rhonda is here. Hey, Rhonda, how are you doing?
Hello, hello. I'm fine.
You're still here. So son of I always forget how to. There we go. Figured it out. I always forget how to ban people from this chat. I know I know I've got someone ready to ban for the chat because they start talking and nobody ever talks in this chat. Which listen, folks. I actually don't mind. I kind of like people just coming in and just like listening and putting it on the background on a tab they'll never see until you hear the dulcet sounds of that closing song that I always use, and they'd be like, time to close that tab. They're done with Indiepocalypse Radio. Glad to listen to them. But to pick up where we had not left, Rondar, what do you think of cucumbers?
I like the pickled ones.
Pickles.
I don't know. Oh, sorry. Maybe I don't know. In Polish, we call there are different like types of cucumber, and one of them we call like a pickle. Pickle is something different than a normal cucumber, or is...
No.
Yes.
Pickles.
Okay. Sorry, because I noticed a pause in the other. I thought that I said something wrong.
No. I mean, so far as I know, and as I should know very well as someone who has made pickles myself at my house, pickles are just like they're like cute little cucumbers.
Yeah. Okay.
You can buy them at the grocery store. They call them pickling cucumbers.
Yeah.
Though I suppose you could make one out of a regular large cucumber, I think. I'm not sure. I've never attempted such a feat. But it's actually, I should get into... See, now, Indiepocalypse, stole all of my free time. So I can't do things like make pickles. As easy as that is. But it's very easy, actually. I'd recommend it. You just get some jars and some pickling cucumbers and some spices. They're very easy to make. And I like them. I like pickles. I like the brine. But also, I like plain cucumbers. They're just like weird water chips.
Yeah.
Anyhow, water chips. What is... Oh, wait, never mind. You can't answer that because you didn't move to the U.S. I was going to ask you what is the thing that is so... You think is like a very stock Polish treat that is not where you live now, but you still live there. So...
Yeah.
You know,
But I have a similar story that CISO had related to not related to mayonnaise, but related to ketchup.
okay.
Because when I was young, I was crazy for ketchup, and I didn't eat a lot, but my family always could convince me to eat something when they covered it in ketchup. So I was eating like dumplings with ketchup and all different strange types of food with ketchup on it that you wouldn't think that you could put ketchup on.
Yeah, kids love ketchup. It's just like
a
sugary tomato paste.
Yeah.
There was a time in at least the U.S. where they were putting out like purple ketchup and green ketchup.
Whoa, green? With what?
It was just ketchup, but it was like purple.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was like made out of anything different. I don't think I ever had it because I think it was more expensive to get that kind. And listen, we're not millionaires around these parts where we can afford purple ketchup. So, I never had it, and I'm sure that's a thing 90s kids are nostalgic for. I'm sure if I made a post about it on Twitter, where I was like, "Whoa, who remembers this?" and I just posted a low quality JPEG of purple ketchup, people would be like, "Whoa, I remember that." You know what if I just do that right now? Purple ketchup, and I'll be like, "Fucking wow, who?" I gotta phrase it. The tricky part is I need to phrase it so that like I'm not clearly taking the piss, as it were. Which I think is the problem you can run into, where you're like, wow, I love this thing, but I'm clearly being a jerk about it. About how I did But anyway, sorry. I see. This is the tricky thing where I get distracted, and or now not only am I looking up an image, but I'm like looking it up and trying to think of what I would type for it. And someone did in 2019. I'm not gonna bother. Too much effort to. I don't care enough. That's it, folks. I don't care enough to meme post. And I'm pretty sure there are people who like exclusively do that because like there's a reason why like half of the viral Twitter things have like those galaxy lights underneath them because that's what people are doing. They're just like fishing for virality. Wendell, you're not on Twitter, and I bless you for it.
Oh, no, not. Yeah, but like, I don't know.
No,
I
you.
think it's not that popular. It's really not that popular in Poland. But
Whatever.
maybe, or maybe it is. But I'm old school. I don't know. I have no idea what the trends are now. But I will definitely make a Twitter account for my small game, like small game projects. So.
Yeah, I I remember
My- my-
someone for like a couple releases ago. They were like infinite respect for the people because when I post about this online, I post everyone's like Twitter handles where they have them, or just their names where they don't have one.
Mhm.
And I remember someone being like infinite respect for the people in this issue of Indiepocalypse who don't have Twitter accounts, and I'm like, yeah, same for those people.
Yeah, I usually post stuff like that on Facebook,
Yeah, right,
on
right.
on my personal Facebook. Like I usually go there, but yeah, but I've heard that Twitter is better for like uh,
Promotion.
yeah, maybe, yeah. Like
Yeah,
my friends have recommended that to me. They are like reposting each other and so on. Like,
yeah. I think it's like a good. I say that as someone who's telling everyone we need to get off of these three websites we're on. You know, it's that post where
mhm.
people say modern internet is screenshots of one website being reposted onto the other two.
Yeah,
And it's like, yeah, let's get off of them. Let's all just get onto our own websites. And
yeah,
it's kind of like what you were saying about the idea of, you know, people personally connecting with art, but it's more like people more personally connecting with one another.
hmm,
I think it's easier when you have like smaller, more personal websites, and I think you form more meaningful connections to like people as like
yeah.
I think it's how you form like actual peer groups.
Yes, yeah. Like I feel like Izataya is one of such smaller sites,
Yeah.
if you can call that. Like there's not that much like space for communication, but you can always leave a comment and like find a group for like a jam or something. So
Yeah,
I really appreciate this community there.
I often don't post to the or to the itch forums about indie apocalypse releases because it's so small. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, that's just another piece of work that I need to do. But
Yeah,
if 10 people are going to see it, why do I need to do that work?
yeah,
But like, yeah, you're right. There's also a benefit to it being like the itch community, like the active part of it being much smaller.
yeah.
You definitely get a lot of people seeing, especially around horror games. There's a lot of in the comments of I played your game and check out my stream where I played it,
Yeah, check out my YouTube video.
which I think did Lil Flutie get any of those? I feel like
Yeah. I was surprised and I was really happy with it. Even it was something that I couldn't like. I was like really happy about. Like someone has made a speedrun of Lil
okay.
Flutie, so I was really proud of it. That it was like noticed
Yeah,
in
there
this way,
was I
and even considered to be sped round.
yeah, there are smaller communities who are like into this sort of I mean, there's the Art TA that happens I think once a year or so, which is like kind of like a speed running event, sort of a showcase event about like smaller, weirder art games that they host. Um, Warmham been on the show promoting that very event, hosts it I believe once a year. I can't remember if there's like a broader community name that's not for like when they're doing non-art TA
Hmm.
stuff. But I think there is like an increasing number of people who are like in just like playing weirder, shorter games, and then bringing the rest of games culture to it, whether that means
Yeah,
speed running or let's playing.
yeah. That's I have um, I have uh, made a YouTube channel with a friend of mine from work, and because I wanted to, because we were like playing the itch.io games, searching like for inspiration or just discussing game design while playing them, or just like having fun and
Yeah,
playing small games. And we like, because like I figured because, um, why it was important for me to play these small games was that I know how important it is for me when someone sees my game, plays my game, and leaves a comment or leaves a review. So I wanted to do the same thing for other people, and
yeah,
like maybe get inspired by a game during that. So and we figured that we could as well like start recording that, and we prepared a small channel, and on there, but it's in Polish, but we are playing a lot of indie itch.io games there.
yeah. But
In, yeah.
even in Polish, you can still find the games from there. So
Yes. Yeah.
us English folk, and I guess really anyone who doesn't speak Polish, it's still like a good resource of like what is the it called?
My channel.
Yeah.
It's called uh, two devs, two devs, two devs.
Okay.
Like with two is like number and it's without spaces. It's called triple times two devs because like two devs was because I myself and the friend of mine is we are both Unity developers.
Yeah.
But two devs was occupied, so we figured like let's go two steps further, and that's why we have like triple
Perfect.
two devs, two
Perfect.
devs, two devs, two devs.
Yeah, I think like people love to just talk about the things that other people are talking about. So like the reason people don't talk about like these games in this DIY space, which is my new official thing that I'm calling it. I've given up indie. You can have indie, fine. You and your 20 person $1 million teams can have the word indie.
I
I'm gonna use DIY from do it yourself.
Yeah, yeah. That's all. That's also like I think that there needs to be a new. There is a need for a new like word for the true small kind of games, because as you said, like indies are right now just stuff also made by corporations, but smaller ones,
Yeah, or
and
people
these
funded
are
by.
these. Yeah.
I was gonna say, or people funded by corporations.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that's like totally. And how then? This is we can't compare stuff like so with games from like each island.
Yeah, yeah,
So
because
we
even
can
if
call them. You have to coin this name.
yeah, because even if it was like even if like you say well it's just a term indie doesn't mean anything from like a coverage and a press angle to press indie is this umbrella and like they don't distinguish to them Hades is the same indie as a little free
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, they're both indie. So when you tell your editor, I'm going to do indie game coverage,
Yeah.
then you get the same kind of coverage. Though Lil Flutie was on Fanbyte, I believe. So
What is that?
it's a gaming website.
Ah, yeah, I've seen the article. You mean the article, right?
Yeah, you were in one of like
Yes, yeah, I've noticed that like from time to time I'm researching like where the traffic is coming from to the Fluty site, and I've noticed that guy. I don't know. Have you heard about the game called Jeff?
yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the guy has followed me, and I was like, what the heck? This is very cool because I really like enjoy. I haven't played his games yet, but I will for sure.
Let's
But
say
I have, yeah. Sorry.
Jeff fans have something to look forward to in the next issue of Indiepocalypse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah. So yeah, like yeah. So I just wanted to like see what's up with that. How this person even noticed me, and I think that's from this article because Lil Fluty was there together with Mind Dungeon.
Fuzz
I think.
Dungeon?
Sorry.
Fuzz Dungeon?
Or maybe Fast Dungeon. I don't remember, but one of the newest games
Yeah.
from the creator of Jeff.
The newest one is Fuzz Dungeon, so but
Okay,
they may have also put out a game called Mind Dungeon.
so I may have like you're probably right.
I think I am right. But
Yeah.
anyway, who cares about who is right here, who's wrong? It doesn't really. I actually came across that article because I was looking up like I was searching for Indiepocalypse and trying to
Hmm.
see if like because someone and I think they still will at some point, presumably. I gave an interview for I think it was going to be on that website, Fanbyte,
Awesome.
but like that was like a year ago. So
And
I think I had checked it recently. Like I searched for like Indiepocalypse Fanbyte, and someone out there is doing the Lord's work. Where when they mention, for instance, Lil Flutie 3D or Riba, I forget. I never knew how to pronounce it out loud. They're mentioning that, hey, Lil Flutie was in Indiepocalypse 17, so I think somebody is like, I think there are people who are aware. It feels like whenever I talk to someone, everybody is aware of this thing, but just nobody's talking about it,
yeah.
which is a weird.
So yeah, I was really happy to see Indiepocalypse and Floaty there.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's like people are getting these things from, like, I think it's entirely possible that some people are actually. I jokingly put in my press emails as one of my calls to actions occasionally to scrape Indiepocalypse for your indie game roundup article. And I think some people are doing that, and some of them are even giving the good decency to mention that they're getting the games from there, perhaps coyly. But anyhow, glad to see it. Glad to help in any way if I am to get games like Lil Flutie in front of more people.
Yeah, I'm very how do you call it? I'm very grateful for that. Yes.
Yeah, it's in the same way you mentioned earlier of how like it means a lot to developers to just like see a comment on their page. It means
Yeah.
similarly means a lot to me when people I have my any other questions segment of my form when people say like thanks for including my game. I'm like, oh, that makes it feel worth it to me. But anyhow, we've been going on the show. We've crested our hour, and I don't believe Cecil is returning, unfortunately. So I will never solve that cucumber mystery of what their particular beef is with cucumbers. But That's why I repeat this show, you know? That's why we have multiple segments. That's why we have return guests. That's why.
Yeah.
All sorts of things. Anyhow. Rondar, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So glad to have you here. We're going to wrap up this show with some plugs for your things. I will say, you see Cecil stuff at Cease, that is CEEC .space. You know, that's a link to all sorts of portfolios, games. Oh, nope. I put that in the Discord. Meant to put it in Twitch. Oops. So check out Cecil stuff. Good games. Good. Listen, that portfolio has a lot of stuff in it, and I'd recommend checking it all out. Rondar, what have you got to plug?
Sorry, what do you mean by plug?
What have you got to promote?
Okay. Check out Live Floaty 3D on Digital Time.
Perfect. I put it in there. It's rondar.itch.io. It's kind of like how you would think, except RONDAAAR.
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
Yes. You can throw a little, because if you throw a little extra rondar on it, or try to emphasize it, then people are still not going to they're just gonna guess anyway. That's why especially on an audio medium, I just spell shit, you know. I gotta be straightforward with people. I gotta spell things out. On my part, I will say, hey, Indiepocalypse 19 just came out. I'd recommend that you buy it. Indiepocalypse in general, hey, it's got 18 other issues, including issues 18 and 17, which I think are also pretty good. Might I recommend that you buy those? All the developers, including the people you heard today, get paid royalties if people buy the zine. Because it's a zine. So, everyone involved gets money. If you want to submit your games, hey, submission pages are basically closed for a small portion of Thursday, in which I forget that I closed it on Thursday. I think, wow, I'm such a genius for closing it so early. And then I go, oh, crap, I need to make a new page. So aside from that brief hours-long window, you can pretty much always submit a game at indiepocalypse.com/submit. It'll go to itch, and if for whatever reason, anyway, was not expecting that. What else? I am increasingly surprised by the number of people who are following me on twitter.com. And it's I come to realize that I'm sort of destined perhaps to be an artist, the way people talk about a comedian's comedian, an actor's actor, not popular within the space, but not broadly popular. And anyhow, it's always very weird when I click on someone's name and I see that follows Pizza Pranks next to it. I'm like, oh, weird. And that becomes increasingly common. It's bizarre. I don't like people looking at me, but I need people to look at me so then I can then tell them to look at other people. It's a strange balance I walk, where I have to become a larger personality and a figurehead or whatever, a leader of a movement, so that I can be hey, okay, all this stuff you funnel to me, I'm going to funnel. I have to build a really big, not a funnel, because a funnel puts it all into one person. I'm making a upside down funnel, where I'm pouring all the water into it and spreading into a big. No, that doesn't work, because then if you pour water upside down to a funnel, it's just a small stream. It doesn't funnel outwards. Listen, there's an analogy in there somewhere. I'm not going to find it now. Instead, I'm just going to keep promoting stuff. It's got a Patreon, indiepocalypse.com/Patreon. If you want to not think about having to buy Indiepocalypse and just have it delivered to you once a month, you can do it there. If you subscribe at the $25 level, I mail you a physical copy of the zine, no matter where you live in the world. I have a P.O. box and everything that I'm not giving out. It's so that people don't know where I live. Because, once again, I don't want people to look at me. That's mostly... also, at the $5 level... When you're promoting Patreons, you're supposed to say at the something dollar level, because that's what people are used to. It activates that part of their brain. You can hear if you popped into the show just now and you missed it, you'd be like, I want to hear it. You can hear it on Monday if you're at $5. But I bet you're wondering, Andrew, I'm not paying for a zine. Where does that money go? It all still counts as sales, no matter how much money you put into it. If you put in $1, that counts as a sale towards that month's issue of Indiepocalypse. It all goes there. I'll say. And speaking of the $25 tier is about to get upgraded very soon. As this month, I'm assuming this month. I'm going to say this month, and then embarrassingly delay it like a true video game developer if I need to. The first bonus issue, Indiepocalypse Cross Koosh. The collaboration between Indiepocalypse and the Latvian-based comics publisher Koosh is coming out. That's 4 new games by 4 developers and 4 Koosh-provided comic artists or generalist artists. I don't know how each of those artists defines themselves primarily, but they're all artists, and most of them don't even play games, so the games coming out of that are very cool and interesting. It's a very outsider perspective, and they all have exceptional art in them. Not to say that games in the Apocalypse usually don't have good art, because they usually do have very good art in them. But you know what I'm saying. You get the idea. It's like anyhow. Whatever, you get what I'm saying. I just talked myself into a hole, and I'm going to talk myself out of it. So anyway, the $25 tier will also have, you also get every bonus issue. That's what I was getting at. It's September 3rd, Indiepocalypse, the Pledge Drive, the Indiepocalypse first annual Indiepocalypse Pledge Drive 2, that will be hosted every 10th issue, is going to start with the goal of breaking even for this first drive. I'm going to announce it here first. The secret bonus thing that I made, that's a secret page on my itch thing, the bonus is going to be all of the commissioned games you get, but you get them at a pay what you want price, because I wanted to do a donation pay what you want price, but I didn't want to have to think about how to distribute things to people after that, so that's how I'm going to do it. But I'm not going to mention it anywhere else for a little while, so that people they'll buy this issue because they'll be like, I want that cool color fiction game. And that's the point of the exclusives, to get those gamers craving exclusives. That's mostly it. This pitch, my plug section is very long because I have I've got plates and they're all spinning all over the place, and I'm desperately trying to keep them all up. Right, I will say one last thing, which is that RPG Maker thing I talk about a lot, where we build our game in RPG Maker 2 Exquisite Corpse style. It finally reached 6 participants, and that means starting next week probably, I have to start building my version of it, which is excited. So if you are like, hey, I have a PlayStation 2, and I would love to spend a month working on a game that is only accessible on memory cards, not available on the internet, because I like weird and obtuse and inaccessible art as well. Because some Indiepocalypse is all about I'm super rare shorts. We're out here putting out games, and all these commissions are available digitally, and the owners own them all. But sometimes you want to do weird performance art, and that's what that RPG Maker thing is. And that's one of these days I'm going to buy it. That thrift shop I go to is going to have a PlayStation 2, and I'm going to buy it so then everyone can do it no matter where they live. You don't have to worry about region locking or owning a working PS2 or anyhow. The game's come. Very excited, just very excited about that happening. But this show's coming to a close. Cecil's gone, but thank you again to Cecil Choi for being here. Rhonda, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
The audience, thank the audience for being here. And listening to this show. I like putting it out, and I mean, I could put this out forever, just if no one listened to it, because I like talking to people. But to promote, help this be a spot to promote like other developers who usually would not get like interview podcast space is important. So I think it's nice to have, and that means it's good to have people listen to it. I'm gonna go out like we always do. Thank you again, finally, to Sydney Gish for not learning that I use the same outro song to every single episode, because I like the song. I think it's a good closing song. And that song being that I'm going to end it with right now is, of course, the aptly titled Imposter Syndrome. Thank you all for being here. Goodbye.